Okay, so today we are going to be learning about the voyage of the Mayflower. You're going to do a couple activities so you can learn a little bit more about the voyage of the Mayflower. Some key vocabulary that we're going to be talking about today, or that you're going to see throughout the material or throughout your work. The first one is pilgrims. Does anybody know what a pilgrim is, or can you give me a definition of a pilgrim? Okay, so a pilgrim is a person who journeys somewhere far away in a sacred land for religious reasons. And in the case of the Mayflower, pilgrims were English settlers who were leaving England for religious reasons, for religious freedom. They were leaving England to go to a new land to start over. The next vocabulary word that we would need to talk about is Native American. And Native Americans were actually the group of people who were on the new land when the pilgrims got there. And Native Americans typically, they were grouped into tribes based on their religion or just their ways of living or different beliefs that they had. And so, like I said, they were there when the pilgrims got there. And they didn't get along when the pilgrims first got there. But then as time went on, they made arrangements and made deals and traded things and were actually able to form a really good relationship. The next word would be permitted. Permitted is when someone is given permission to do something or allowed to do something, or somebody who's giving permission for somebody to do something. They're permitting you to do it, or you've been permitted to do it. The next word would be roadblock, and that's when you have something blocking the flow of traffic while driving. So it's a block in the road. The next is detour, and that is when you take the long way. Sometimes people will take a scenic detour where scenic means there's more nature and a beautiful, a better scenery. And then sometimes people have to take a detour because there's something like road construction going on, and you have to detour to avoid that. The next is yield, and that is when you give way under force or pressure. So in this case, we're going to be doing a race today. So a lot of these terms are related to when you're driving or walking. And when you yield to somebody, it means that you let them go first. You wait for them to go, and then you go. So you gave to them. The next is voyage, and that is a long journey on land on water, the sea, or space. The next is European, and European means it's a person who is native to Europe. So in this case, the pilgrims were Europeans that were native to England. So before they left England, they were European, but when a European is in America, they're considered European American. So pilgrims were European, they came here, and they were European American. And like we said, we had the Native Americans who were already here, were already in America. Alright, so next we're going to do a little activity to kind of get you ready for the getting to learn more about the Mayflower. We're going to do a think, pair, share activity. So right now I want you to close your eyes and pretend that you're a child who is living in England in the 1620s. Your parents have just sat you down and shared with you that you will be setting sail on the Mayflower. We are going on a voyage on a large boat, the Mayflower, to find new land with others who are also seeking religious freedom and fresh start. So I want you to close your eyes and think about what I just said, and you're going to pretend that you're a child who's about to set sail on the Mayflower. And you're going to do that for I'm going to give you time to think about that, and then after time's up, we'll go to the next step. So just think about that for a minute, kind of get what you think you would feel like, or what you think it would look like, or anything. Okay, so now that you've thought about that and you've imagined what you think it would be like and how it would make you feel, turn to the person to your left and share your thoughts with them. And I'm going to give you a few minutes just to share with your partner. Alright, now that you have shared with your partner, I am going to ask some of you to share what your partner shared with you. So you're not going to share what you shared, but you're going to share what your partner said to you. So I'm going to call on a couple people and you be ready to share. Alright, I really loved hearing all of what y'all all said about what you think it would be like. And y'all did a really great job talking about that. So now we're going to take a look at what the Mayflower might have looked like, the people that were on it, why they were there, just all the details around the voyage of the Mayflower. We're going to do a virtual field trip. So I'm going to click on a link and you're going to watch a video, and it's going to take you through a tour of the Mayflower 400 exhibition. And it's just going to tell you about the legacy of the Mayflower and give you some background knowledge on it. So we're going to watch this and then we'll see what y'all think. Alright, at this point the kids would watch the video. Alright, now that you've watched the video and we've talked about it and you've kind of got an idea of what it was like and why they decided to set sail on the Mayflower, we're going to complete a race, a digital race. So this is called the Great Race to the Mayflower. And for this race, you're going to be going through, you're going to get your school computer and you're going to open up a Google Doc that I give you. And on this Google Doc, you're going to go through questions. And as you answer the questions correctly, you will move to the next leg of the race, but you're going to run into roadblocks and yields and detours, and you'll have to do what the questions tell you to do, and the first 5 people who finish will be the winners. And you cannot move until the next question until you get the question you're on right. So make sure you're reading your questions and you're going through it slowly and not rushing, because rushing will make you get behind. And I've also given you a packet of information that some of the questions that will be the answers to some of the questions, and you can, if you get stuck or you don't know an answer, you can use that packet for reference to try to complete the questions. And then if you have any questions, just raise your hand and I will come help you. So y'all can go ahead and get started on that, and I'm going to play some music in the background to help you focus. So go ahead and do that. When you get done, just close your computer. Okay, now that we've finished the Great Race and everybody is done, we're going to do a journal entry. And for your journal entry, I need you to get your journaling notebooks out. And in your journal entry, I want you to answer this. You're going to go by this prompt, this writing prompt. Remember, we've talked about writing prompts. What was your experience like while you completed the Great Race to the Mayflower? What is one thing new that you learned from this lesson? And what is something you would like to learn more about? So take a couple minutes and I want you to write about that in your journal. And when you're done, just put your journal away so I know that you're finished. And I'll play music again to help y'all focus. Okay, now that everybody's done, is there anybody that would like to share what they wrote in their journal and what your experience was about the Mayflower and what you learned and what you'd like to know more about? Okay, I really enjoyed hearing those. Y'all made some really good points, made some really good journal entries, and I think that y'all really got a lot from this activity, and I look forward to reading the rest of everybody's who I didn't get to hear. So now that we're finished with that, I want to read you a quote, and I want you to think about this quote and think about what you think it means and how it makes you feel, and why you think this person said this and why it's important. Because tomorrow we're going to do a journal entry. One of your journal entries will be about this quote. So the quote is from William Bradford, and he wrote a book called Of Plymouth Plantation that I have personally read and really enjoyed. In it a lot of information about the Mayflower. And William Bradford was someone who set sail on the Mayflower and actually later became governor of Plymouth Plantation. So the quote is that with their miseries they opened a way to these new lands, and after these hardships with what ease other men came to inhabit them. And that was by William Bradford of Plymouth Plantation. And so, like I said, you're going to think about that for a little till tomorrow, and then also you'll see it again tomorrow. But I want you to kind of be preparing yourself to write a journal entry about it and tell me what you think it means, why you think the author wrote that, why was it important, and how it makes you feel. How do you think the people felt at the time? And that will be your journal entry for in the morning. So I'm going to leave with that, and we're going to move on to the next thing. But I really hope that you've enjoyed learning about the Mayflower today, and if you have any questions, or if you learned something new on your own and you want to share with the class, just let me know. But that is all for that, and we're going to move to the next part of the day. Okay, so for my lesson, the way that I addressed ELLs was that I had multiple ways to receive the material. So like I had the PowerPoint on the board. I also had given them copies of like a packet of notes to use, and then also with my ELL students and my lower end students, that my struggling readers, I allowed to use headphones to have the questions on the Google Doc read to them, so that I know that they're actually getting the questions and the answers, and they can answer them that way, and they're not having to read all of that. And in my PowerPoint, I made sure to add a lot of pictures so that my ELL students would like have pictures to go with what I was saying, because that can be really helpful for them too. And as far as incorporating diversity and culture, I made sure to talk about pilgrims, Native Americans, Europeans, like how their relationship was and what part they played in once they got to America. The differentiation that I provided for the whole class, there was differentiating like in ways of learning. So there was a think, pair, share activity, and there was the virtual field trip, journal entries, and classroom discussions. And for students that have individual needs, students will be provided with highlighted informational packets to aid them in completing the race. Students who struggle with reading will be able to listen to the Great Race while they walk through it. And then also just any accommodations or modifications according to IEPs and 504 plans, I would also provide, obviously. And I'll also just be observing to make sure that they're getting it and that they don't need any additional instruction. And the way that I know mastery is I can get the results from the Great Race. I can see what they struggled with and what they did good on. And also, I know they mastered it if they were in that top 5, more than likely, because they got it done fast, and like they had to get the answers right to get done fast. The integration of literature. So my integration of literature was the journal writing. That was writing. And then reading the packet and the questions, and then also the vocabulary words were also part of ELA. So that's how I integrated the literature. And also I integrated the book that I had read, Plymouth Plantation, into my quote. Um, there was social studies, and then there was a lot of ELA components, and then also they got social skills from the Think Pair Share because they had to work together. The strategies that I included into this were sorry, I have them wrote out. Okay, I did cooperative learning through the Think, Pair, Share activity. I did experiential learning, going through the stages of the Great Race and then reflecting and writing a journal about their experience. And then I did discussions, because after writing in their journals, students would participate in classroom discussions about their injuries, and that allowed the opportunity for it allowed the opportunity for me to assess their knowledge just through classroom discussions.
1 second. I'm sorry.
And then also this goes along with blooms, because the students describe what they think life was like for a child setting sail on the Mayflower. They execute the Great Race activity. They implement what they have learned to complete the Great Race. They produce a journal entry describing their experiences throughout the lesson. They state what their partner shared in the Think, Pair, Share activity, as well as what they wrote in their journal entry. And I really liked how this lesson panned out. It also went along with Erickson's 8 stages of psychological development as well, because students are, the stage that they're in according to that is industry versus inferiority stage. And during this stage, students are actively comparing themselves to other children at the same age. They also feel successful when they succeed at certain tasks related to schoolwork, family, and sports. And they're aiding in this stage by answering the questions as if they're a child in the 1620s, and they're competing in the race successfully. So they're kind of competing against each other, and at that age, they really like competition, and they feel well accomplished if they do well at it. I think that was everything, and I talked about everything I needed to. But in my next lesson, my second lesson in addition to this, we're going to work on a service learning. It'll be about the first Thanksgiving to follow in from the Mayflower. And we're going to do a service learning activity where we do a canned food drive. And then I'll incorporate a game, and we'll do a read aloud. And then I'm also going to show them a map of the voyage to the Mayflower, or the voyage that the Mayflower took, to kind of tie it into the Mayflower. And I think the kids would really enjoy seeing it, what that voyage looked like. So, yep, that is what I'm going to do for my next activity, and that is all. Thank you.